distinguished guests, respected faculty members, and dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Farhana Gul.
I am Dr. Munir Rahman.
And we welcome you all to the National Seminar on Bioorganic Fertilizers for Sustainable Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture is one of the pioneer departments of the University of Swabi, established in 2010. The department has the credit of organizing seminars, workshops, national and international conferences. To keep the intellectual momentum going on, the Department of Agriculture has once again arranged today's seminar.
World population is growing at a very rapid pace, which ultimately increases the demand of the food and the fiber. Conventional agriculture plays a significant role in meeting the food demand of the population, which eventually increase the dependency on chemical-based fertilizers. Current soil management approaches are mainly depend upon the chemical-based fertilizer, which causes a serious threat to the human health and environment. The exploitation of beneficial microbes such as biofertilizers has become a paramount importance in agriculture sector for their potential use in food safety and sustainable crop production. Now moving forward, sir, we seek permission to formally start the proceedings. Thank you very much. For the formal start, I would like to invite Abu Zar to recite few verses of the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما
onward, and to give a formal welcome to today's participants, I would like to invite Dean Faculty of Sciences, Professor Mukhtar Alam, to please come onto the stage for a welcome note.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Very respectable Professor Nasir Jamal Khattak, Vice Chancellor, University of Swabi. Professor Shahana Uruj Kazmi, Vice Chancellor, University of Swabi. Distinguished Professors Dr. Jamal and Dr. Farman from Agriculture University Peshawar. Other learned professors and scientists from various institutions. And of course, dear students. It is my pleasure to welcome all the respectable speakers and guests to this particular event. As we all know that food is one of the fundamental physiological requirements for all living organisms. So it's quite natural for a rational and intelligent human being, rational and intelligent organism like human being, to keep thinking of food security for today and as well as for tomorrow. If you look at the history of the world, when the population of the world was 1 billion or 2 billion or 3 billion, there were hundreds of incidences of starvation and famines. But today, the population of the world is around 8 billion. But still, reports of famines or starvation are very few and far between. And even when we do see such reports, it's usually the problem with distribution rather than production. So, in order to ensure food security, there has been this continuous effort by the scientists, by the agricultural scientists, to keep pace with the increasing demand. And that has usually been made possible by tinkering with the factors of production. And among the factors of production, it is the agricultural inputs that actually makes a lot of difference. And among those inputs, fertilizer is a very key input. So even if we are not concerned directly with agriculture, we are familiar with this term green revolution. And what exactly was it? It was actually the creation of crop species which were very much responsive to additional doses of these inputs. And that is what has actually kept this hunger at bay in the world, in the entire world. But then again, with the increasing use of agricultural inputs, including fertilizer, we have other problems pertaining to environment, pertaining to pollution, pertaining to cost of production. So in order to find a middle ground where you can ensure food security on one hand and at the same time make the whole process sustainable and manageable and economically feasible, we look at these new ways of finding these inputs and using those inputs. And that is where the bioorganic fertilizers come in. So it's a new concept. It is a combination of organic processes, living organisms, and then using the same as fertilizer. And this has implications for environment, for cost of production, and for food security. So it is going to be an opportunity for all of us to learn something new from the very distinguished professors and scientists who are here with us. I welcome them all, and I welcome the honorable guests as well who have graced this occasion and honored us and encouraged us. I congratulate Professor Dr. Fazle Wahid, Assistant Professor in Department of Agriculture, who actually thought of this whole seminar, arranging this seminar. I'm also thankful to the management of the university who provided a facilitating, encouraging environment for holding this seminar. Whatever shortcomings or weaknesses that we see are actually our problem, our fault, so we'll learn from them, and we request you to bear with us. We look forward to a very enlightening discussion on the subject, and hopefully there will be some linkages, some new concepts for research. I thank you all, and I welcome you all. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much for your kind words. To present the theme of today's seminar, I would like to invite Dr. Fazle Wahid, who is also the PI of the project under which this seminar has been arranged today. Sir, please.
Chairmans, colleagues and dear students, good morning and a warm welcome to the University of Swabi. It's indeed a great occasion for all of us that today the great scientists are all together under the roof of agriculture at the University of Swabi. It's a privilege for taking the opportunity to present the theme of our national seminar on bioorganic fertilizer for sustainable agriculture. Basically, the whole theme of this seminar is the promotion of organic agriculture. Within the organic agriculture, there are different type of fertilizer existed, but we are specially focusing on vermicompost. Since we have a project, we have won a project of 10.4 million, under which we have arranged this event for today. Here is the title of that project, which is the bioconversion of degradable organic waste material into value-added standard vermicompost to promote organic agriculture. Within the objectives that first in our project we are producing or developing a valuable or standard vermicompost, and when we develop it, then we will try it on vegetables under greenhouse and field condition. So a question arises, what is the need of vermicomposting? Why vermicomposting? Some of the points has already been mentioned by our Dean Seb, that nowadays the people wants to take a quick input from their field, so they are using heavy doses of commercial fertilizers in their fields, but they are not aware of their consequences and hazardous effects. On one side, they are a threat for the soil biota, they are a threat for the ecosystem, for the health, and also they are expensive. So it is very hard for the farmers of our community to manage those. That's why I found some shortcomings in the preparation of vermicomposting with others. That's why I developed a new idea to improve it and to modify it and to make it more valuable and standard vermicompost. Here are some of our project activities that we are conducting here at the University of Swabi and at the farm of the University of Swabi. For that we have specially designed a structure where we have bring a lot of food scraps, vegetable scraps, organic waste, and moreover in our project the novelty is here that we are mixing detrimental type of weeds. Detrimental type of weeds such as Parthenium hysteroporus, Celebum marianum, Rumix dentatus, they are creating different types of threats to the living biota and especially to the human being. So we will mix them and form a compost from them. So this is a valuable use. Moreover, we have rock phosphate that are equivalent to SSP fertilizer that contain a huge amount of phosphorus. So that huge amount of phosphorus, when we put it to the earthworms, they will eat it, and from their product we will develop a fertilizer that will be beneficial for the farmers. I would try to be very brief since we have a distinguished guest. Moreover, here are the main expected outcomes of our project, that at the end of the project where its benefits will go. We have thought that it will reduce around 30 to 40% commercial fertilizers, and it will be better for the well-being of the farmer, for the soil health, for the living biota. I will not take your much of time since we have much distinguished professors and they will present their details on different types of beneficial fertilizer, bioorganic fertilizer. So thank you for coming, and it was really very hard for me to speak in front of my teachers and especially my supervisor, but I was of the opinion to give you a theme of this seminar. So thank you so much and welcome to the University of Swabi. I hope you will enjoy your stay here. Thank you so much.
Dr. Fazle Wahid for presenting the theme of the seminar. I am profusely delighted to take an opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day, Professor Shahana Uruj Kazmi, Vice Chancellor, Women University of Swabi. She has 44 years of vast experience in teaching, research and administration in various well-reputed organizations. For the recognition of her services in education and research, she has been honored with various prestigious awards. I considered it a great honor to welcome Professor Shahana Uruj Kazmi onto the stage and share her thoughts.
persons and my dear scientists from all over Pakistan and my dear students, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I'd like to thank the management of University of Swabi and especially those who have thought of this very innovative project and also, the funding that they got from higher education, and they're sharing their ideas with us about what can we do to meet the challenges that we are facing. So somebody just said that we have a huge population. There is an outburst of population globally as well as in Pakistan. We are facing this. So, we have to feed this 220 million people in Pakistan. And we have climate change, we have global warming, we have all kinds of problems, low productivity, agriculture sector. Since I have been a part of the Pakistan Agriculture Research Council as member Animal Sciences, I have gone through all different places in Pakistan and see how problems are being faced by the farmers and especially the nutritional value of the agri-products that we get in the market and how they are affecting the health of our people. So this is a big challenge to meet the requirement of the food. So food security is a big issue, and it's an agriculture country. More than 60% of our population is involved in agricultural activities. Some of the things that I just wanted to point out here is about the agricultural products and their contamination. As a microbiologist, I feel that the products that we get in the market, they're highly, contaminated because the agriculture sector is using contaminated water, contaminated fertilizers, etc. That's a big, big problem. Now, when we talk about bioorganic fertilizers, it has a huge potential to actually help us in bringing safe, nutritious food for our population. But there are some problems with these bioorganic fertilizers. Actually, the problem is that we face the challenge of not being utilized in the agriculture sector. Agricultural sector is not ready to actually utilize the potential of the bioorganic fertilizers, and the main reason being these bioorganic fertilizers have very low shelf life, and they also have a problem of survival. But what are bioorganic fertilizers? They are basically organic fertilizers coming from different sources that just have been emphasized by the earlier speaker, the fertilizers from the organic fertilizers from cow dung and from chicken waste and meat industry waste and all that. But that is contaminated. If we don't decontaminate them before using them, then you're going to get agri products which are contaminated. So now what are bioorganic fertilizers? They're basically you utilize certain group of beneficial microorganisms along with the organic fertilizers, and if you apply them to the seeds and plants, they just enter the interior of the plant tissues and also the seeds and others, and they help the plants to actually acquire the nutrients that are needed for the plant cell to grow. So there are different components, like my cells, your cells require certain things to survive. The plant cells also need all these products in their cytoplasm, in their nucleus. They need nucleic acids, they need carbohydrates, they need protein. So they have to have a source of that. So we have to provide the soil microbiome, and the soil chemistry is going to help them to get all those nutrients, like they need phosphorus, they need potassium, they need nitrogen. We have been talking about nitrogen fixing microorganisms for a long time, and this is a very well studied field. But there are other microorganisms which can help. So these microorganisms can be utilized to actually provide the required health of the plant cell, and that is going to solve our problem of food security, because we will provide safe food which is nutritious. But the problem that we face is it is not being accepted. and there are certain problems with the microorganisms also. So we are using bacillus, pseudomonas, aspergillus. There are lots of fungi which can be utilized. We have other, nitrogen fixing organisms. They are there, but sometimes they do create problems. And it's not only the macronutrients which will help the cell to survive and the plants to actually survive best and grow, so promoting their growth, etc. There are micronutrients which are also required, like we need manganese, we need magnesium, we need calcium. These are the different sources that zinc is required. Some of the plants are zinc deficient. So for that, we have some mechanism that there are certain plants which produce siderophores. Like some of the plants produce siderophores and they are smart enough to get all the iron that they need for their cell. There are certain, crops which do not produce these siderophores, so they cannot acquire the required micronutrients from the soil, environment. And for them, the microorganisms can play a big role. So we do have potassium, we do have phosphorus, we do have nitrogen, we have all the micronutrients in the soil, but all that is not available directly. They are in the form which is not soluble enough that can be utilized by the plant cell. So the microorganisms have a very, very important role to make these nutrients, micronutrients and macronutrients available to the plant, and that is another potential of using the bio-organic fertilizers. But one of the problem is that when you use a single group of microorganisms to help the microbial cell to acquire these nutrients, sometimes they do get excluded because the plants may produce certain substances which will degrade, these microorganisms. So the new challenge is now being faced by making a consortia of microorganisms. You take different microorganisms, different group of microorganisms and utilize them along with this. So in the rhizosphere or the area in which the plant is growing, you have this consortia of microorganisms. So if one gets excluded, the other is there to help the plant cell to acquire the nutrients. So I think it's a very, very interesting and innovative area, and there are innovative technologies which have been used. But when we say that these bio fertilizers or bio-organic fertilizers is a new idea, it's not a new idea, it's an old technology. The only thing is that now with the development in the molecular biology and biotechnology, we have now results from the metabolomic and genomic studies which have given us the idea of studying the environment of a plant and finding out if the growth is better, what kind of microorganisms and chemistry in that soil is, so that now we have learned a lot of things and we can design the area, the environment of the plant in order to give it a better growth possibility. So the new technologies should be utilized, and acceptability of biocontrol fertilizers should be enhanced by such seminars, like people don't know about it. So we have to have more and more awareness seminars to tell the farmer to accept the organic fertilizers, because they are more reliable, more safe, and will give a better growth of the plants, so that we solve our problem of agriculture, low productivity, as well as the food security issues. I think I would like to congratulate the person who developed this idea of organizing this seminar for awareness. So congratulations to University of Swabi and the team who has organized this wonderful seminar. Thank you very much.
Madam, your thought-provoking address set a perfect platform for our speakers to deliver their presentations. Now, we feel honored to have with us the Honorable Vice Chancellor, His Excellency Professor Nasir Jamal Khattak. Sir, you hardly need any introduction. You have made all of us proud of your distinguished work in numerous capacities. Sir, please welcome to the stage.
Madam Vice Chancellor, Professor Shahana Uruj Kazmi, Deans, University of Swabi, students and faculty of the Department of Agriculture. Good morning. I know about agriculture as much as all of you know about Greek. So you can easily forgive me for whatever I say. But as a student of anything that I can read, I was amazed when I read some time back, I think it was in 2018, that guano, which is a very polite word that they use for bird droppings, and a particular kind of bird droppings, has a business of $1.1 billion annually. And it's used as a bioorganic fertilizer. So if the world spends $1.1 billion on guano, G-U-A-N-O, I'm sure you know about it, then that means that, it definitely helps people generate more than $1.1 billion. Only last night I was reading an article about Eastern Antarctica, where the temperature this time has gone up exponentially. And the article said the scientists are flabbergasted. Believe it or not, you can Google it and you will know. The increase is of 70 degrees, which is 40 degrees Celsius. For 3 days, that is how it has been, and they are going nuts. So what is Eastern Antarctica experiencing or recording such a drastic increase in its temperature have to do with bird droppings or bioorganic fertilizer for sustainable agriculture? I personally think that as students of science, I'm not, but as students of science, if you keep in mind that the ecosystem follows what in layman's language we can call a balance, a norm, which when we deviate, we either have, this kind of mess or that kind of mess. And that is where I begin to see the 40 degrees Celsius increase in Eastern Antarctica's temperature for the last 3 days, which has extremely worried scientists. And then the guano business, which is one point. I think Bolivia deals in guano. I don't know, but it was very fascinating when I read about how there are ships, anchored on one of the ports, and there are people harvesting seabird droppings. Over a period of time, it dries up, and then they, cut it and pack it up and send it to different countries. And one of their main clients are the Middle Eastern countries. So when it comes to bioorganic fertilizers, I don't know about them. I'm just guessing organic would mean something which doesn't have anything chemical about it, right? Yeah, which will be natural. So if you're using natural fertilizers, be they bird droppings or cow dung or any other animal dung, there is a hope that we will not be able to, or we will not be imbalancing the ecosystem, and hopefully the organic food, which is a very big industry in Northern America and Europe, organic food costs much more than the rest of the food, which perhaps receives not so bioorganic fertilizer. I was just trying to pretend to know about biofertilizers. I think such activities should take place more frequently in universities, where people like me come to know about how there are scientists who are worried about food security. Like in the years to come, some of the thinkers believe that if there is going to be a third world war, it will be about drinking water, which again brings me back to how the balance that the ecosystem follows has to be maintained in a manner where we provide food with the same proportion with which we are multiplying humans, and at the same time not cause much of damage to our environment, where there is such an exponential increase in the temperature of eastern Antarctica. So it's a catch-22. We try to sweeten it up, then we end up damaging this part. Or we try to reduce the inflow of sweets, and then we end up damaging something else. So which is why I think scientists like you guys have a bigger responsibility to make sure that beginners or ignorant people like myself, they are fully aware of what you are doing and how we should listen to you guys more than we actually do. Thank you very much for having me here, and good luck with whatever you are doing today. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us your precious time and expressing your humble views. Since our chief guest has a short of time due to some other commitments, therefore, once again, I have to request our VC, Professor Nasir Jamal Khattak Saab, to please come to the stage and present the shield to today's chief guest. I will also request Dean Faculty of Sciences to please come to the stage. To present shield to the Vice Chancellor, University of Swabi, I will request Professor Khalid Saifullah, Director, Institute of Soil and Environmental Sciences, Arid Agriculture, University, Rawalpindi, to please come to the stage. And now I'm pleased to invite a young scientist who has been recently figured among the top 2% scientists in a global list compiled by the Stanford University, USA. He has published over 360 peer-reviewed papers and contributed 78 book chapters and won 13 national and international projects. Currently he is working as an assistant professor at University of Haripur, but he has also rendered very valuable services in terms of research to the University of Swabi as well. Please welcome Dr. Shafat. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us break for a tea and a group photo arranged at the left side of the hall. Meanwhile, student remains in the hall.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 listener, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Sallallahu jalla khair, TikTok.
Worked on a microbial biomass. He has the expertise of recycling organic waste while using different enzymes which ultimately improve the soil fertility and biochemical properties. He has a lot of experience in lab techniques and their application in the field and the greenhouse conditions. Currently, he is serving as a Director, Institute of Soil Science, Arid Agriculture University, Rawalpindi. Please welcome Professor Khalid Saifullah.
Respected organizers, senior faculty from University of Swabi, senior professors and soil scientists, Professor Jamal Khattak Sahab, Professor Muhammad Sharif Sahab, dear students, very good morning. It is indeed a very pleasure for me to be here this morning and sharing my thoughts on the topic. The theme of today's seminar is Bioorganic Fertilizers for Sustainable Agriculture. One of the offshoot of this, that is sustainable agriculture, is the soil organic carbon management. So I will be sharing some of my experiences related to soil organic carbon management. So coming to the role of soil in ecosystem services. This is very important to note that the concept of soils that we had almost 30 years back, that soil is a medium of plant growth because soil supports crop plants by providing water, by providing nutrients, by providing oxygen, and by providing foothold. So this was the role of soil which was viewed by all the soil scientists worldwide. But with the growing knowledge, we came to know that soils and the role of soils in our ecosystem is very much complex as we simply realized in the past. So, soil is not just a medium for plant growth. No doubt the soil supports the crop plants, all the food, fiber, and other crops. But the role in environmental cleaning, the role in ecosystem balance is very, very important. For example, I have mentioned a few points over here, that soil acts as a filter cleaning water and air. We all know this if we just visualize, the fresh water we receive in the form of precipitation, that is rainfall, snow, and other sources. And that fresh water is used by us for domestic purposes, for industrial uses, for agriculture. And this water gets contaminated. Eventually, this water, either the contaminated water goes to the sea or it moves down through different layers of the soil. We call them soil horizon. So it moves down through the soil and gets filtered. The soil has the capacity to absorb all the contaminants which are present in the water. And then we pump out that groundwater and we can reuse it because the quality of that water has been very good now, has been improved now. Similarly, we also use soil for cleaning of the wastewater. So, this role of water, this role of soil is also very, very important for the ecosystem services. One of the most important aspects is that soil influences global climate. There are two processes, respiration, decomposition. So through respiration, through decomposition, the soil contributes or adds or releases greenhouse gas like carbon dioxide, like methane, and nitrogen oxides to the atmosphere. So, in the same way, soil has the capacity to absorb the carbon dioxide, to absorb these different gases and store them in the soil. Likewise, the nutrient recycling from organic waste, very, very important. You know, organic waste, domestic waste, and other wastes are being generated in huge quantity. And their disposal is a big, big issue for us today. One of the important properties of soil is that soil breaks down these organic waste materials and decomposes these organic materials into simple and harmless products which are utilized again by plants, by microbes, and other living organisms. So, breaks down toxic waste, we apply pesticides, weedicides, herbicides, insecticides, and the huge quantity is applied, and a significant part of this goes into the soil. And then soil has the capacity to absorb these materials and then play a role in the breakdown of these materials. So if we look at the carbon stocks on Earth, atmosphere contains around 800 gigatons of carbon. Living organisms on this planet altogether contain around 560 gigatons of carbon. Soil is the largest reservoir after the oceans, and it contains 2,500 gigatons of carbon. And there is continuous exchange of carbon from soil to organisms and organisms to atmosphere and back. Oceans contain the largest amount of the carbon, but that carbon which is present in the ocean is mostly inorganic in nature. There are three main processes which are responsible for the exchange of gases between soil and the atmosphere, and these are the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which carbon dioxide is stored into the living organisms and then into the soil. And then there are two other processes, decomposition and respiration. Respiration by the living organisms, respiration by the soil microorganisms, and decomposition of the organic carbon compounds by the microbes present in the soil. So through these two processes, that is respiration and decomposition, the carbon dioxide goes to the atmosphere again. So photosynthesis brings carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to the soil and to the living organisms. The carbon is fixed, and by other two processes goes to the atmosphere. So in the pre-industrial era, there was a balance between the photosynthetic activity and the rate of respiration and rate of decomposition. And the rise in global CO2 level was not evident. But with the industrial development, with the use of huge amount of fossil fuels, and also with the other activities, so this balance got disturbed, this equilibrium got disturbed, and now more CO2 is released into the atmosphere than what is absorbed by the soil or the living organism through photosynthesis. And this is resulting in the rise in carbon dioxide level of the atmosphere. And we see that in 2021, and now the level of carbon dioxide has gone almost 420 ppm, which is resulting in the global warming, and which is the main cause of the global warming. So, in order to achieve the goal of sustainable production or sustainable agriculture, proper soil management is important. We are already using fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, and other forms of nutrients. But if we look at our soils, then we see that our soils are suffering from several problems. And among those problems, loss of soil fertility is one. This is very important. farmers are adding fertilizers. Farmers are adding using urea, using DAP, using sulfate of potash, muriate of potash, and other nitrogenous, phosphatic, and potash fertilizers. But we see that the use of fertilizers is perhaps insufficient as compared to uptake of the nutrients by the crop plants, because in order to cater the food requirements of the growing population, we are growing high yielding varieties, and those varieties have the tendency to absorb huge amount of nutrients. So this balance is being upset, and over the times we have seen that the deficiency of nitrogen is already there. It has not been mitigated. The deficiency of phosphorus has increased. Deficiency of potash has become more prominent, and in addition to these three nutrients, that's NPK, the other nutrients, the deficiency of sulfur is also nowadays quite common in most of the areas. Likewise, the deficiency of zinc, the deficiency of iron, the deficiency of boron, and even in some of the cases, deficiency of the molybdenum. So the nutrient deficiency is increasing. So depletion of plant nutrients, loss of soil fertility. Another very important issue is the loss of soil organic matter, because the use of organic fertilizers is quite low and temperature is high, and when we apply these inorganic fertilizers, they increase the rate of microbial activity, and that results into the depletion or decomposition of the soil organic matter, contributing more to the global warming in the form of carbon dioxide evolution, methane evolution, etc. So sustainable agriculture, there are other issues of the soils as well, like deterioration of soil physical properties, especially the structure is being deteriorated, and the water holding capacity is at decline. Water infiltration has become an issue. And then we see soil erosion is a big problem. Then salinity is a big issue of our soils. So all these problems are there. So sustainable agriculture, the role of soil in sustainable agriculture is not possible if we do not properly scientifically manage our soils. And focusing on a single point, that is improving soil organic carbon content, we can mitigate so many issues, like if we can conserve organic carbon or increase organic carbon in soil, so then definitely the soil structure can be improved, water holding capacity can be improved, the deterioration of soil physical properties can be overcome, etc. And also the toxic elements which are entering in soil, so those can be detoxified if the soils contain a reasonable amount of organic carbon. So there are some factors we need to understand. First is the climatic conditions. Of course, we do not have control over these, like temperature and rainfall. And then historic land use pattern, that what was the land use in the past, that is very, very important. And then current land use management strategy. What we are doing nowadays, how we are managing our soil, which types of land use is there. Either we are going to grow the exhaustive crops or the soil building crops, or conservation agriculture is being followed. So what type of land use is there? And topographic and heterogeneity. Of course, the topographic and heterogeneity is also natural, and we can only adopt proper management practices to mitigate the adverse effects, but that is a reality. And micro level factors, among these, the rainfall, infiltration. As I said, if you can improve the organic carbon contents in soil, then soil properties can be improved, and infiltration of rainfall will be more, and the in situ water conservation can be enhanced. So soil erosion can be controlled, and then deposition of sediments, also the harmful effects of that, and soil temperature. Of course, if there is more moisture, so water has a high heat capacity and it can absorb the heat shocks. Soil temperature can be moderated if we can hold sufficient water in the soil. So what are the management practices that can be important? The land use, for example, reforestation, agroforestry is one. I'm just giving some examples. Then grassland restoration, rangelands are being depleted, and if we properly manage them, so definitely it will help in the conservation of organic carbon. The restoration of marginal lands should not be left fallow, should be brought under the use that is most suitable for them, and that helps in the restoration. The selection of crops, very, very important point as agricultural scientists. You know, so far we focus only on the above ground crop growth parameters. And above ground, for example, plant height, which is important, and the other factors which contribute to crop yield. But the root biomass is not focused. Even plant breeders, their main focus is on the above ground plant parameters. But below ground plant biomass is also very important, because if there are more roots, then more root exudates, more improvement of soil properties, more addition of organic carbon into the soil. Similarly, after the crop harvest, if the root biomass is high, so more organic carbon and organic substances can be added to soil. So plant breeders should also focus on below ground plant biomass, just rather only focusing on the above ground plant biomass. And then quantity and quality of the root exudates. So how much total and what is the nature of those root exudates? Which crops release which types of exudates? So these are very important, and so far the focus has not been on this aspect. Tillage practices, for example, reduced tillage, zero tillage, no tillage, and the traditional tillage practices, intensive tillage is another, but reduced tillage and zero tillage and no tillage, these help in the conservation of organic carbon into the soil. Then erosion control, contour plowing, and terracing and check dams, these not only control erosion on the sloping lands, but also help in the conservation of the organic carbon into the soil and protection of the soil against the erosion issues. So this I want to share with you some of the results. These are the results of a long-term experiment which is being carried out at our institute, and this experiment is continuing since more than 10 years, and the results I show, for example, if you see over here, then you know the practices like the conservation tillage, that is contributing to the soil organic carbon. The first figure, for example, the total organic carbon in the soil is depicted in the first figure, and you see the conservation tillage, that is contributing a lot, and there is a significant improvement after the long-term trials which are being carried out. And then some others like zero tillage and the reduced tillage and then minimum tillage. You see the significant effect is of the reduced tillage and the zero tillage, but in terms of crop yield, I will show next. And then in terms of crop yield, the reduced tillage is contributing more. So here again the carbon stock change over the time, and you see that the zero tillage is at the top, but zero tillage, as I said, perhaps that result is not available over here, but the crop yield was not that high in case of zero tillage due to certain other factors like weed issues and other issues. The reduced tillage has proven very effective under the conditions of the potohar for improving organic carbon contents in the soil. Okay, so use of organic amendments, which is also related to today's seminar theme or topic. You know, we can use common organic manures like farmyard manure and cow dung and poultry litter and some others, and then crop residues can be used. So these are the common organic amendments, and then recalcitrant organic amendments like biochar, like compost, like biogas slurry. So these are different types of organic manures which are available to us, and these are, CO2 evolution from soils amended with different organic sources. So how much carbon dioxide is released when we use these different organic sources? So you see, farmyard manure contributed a lot CO2 to the atmosphere when it is applied to soil, because it contains more decomposable organic carbon in it and more labile organic carbon, which results into the loss of carbon dioxide.
Our next speaker, his main area of work is solubilization and mobilization of nutrients in alkaline and calcareous soils by isolation, inoculum preparation, and application of phosphate solubilizing microbes. He also has expertise on phosphorus solubilization of rock phosphate through composting. He is currently working as a chairman, Department of Soil and Environmental Sciences, University of Agriculture, Peshawar. Please welcome Professor Muhammad Sharif. Due to shortage of time, I will respect the speakers to please stick to the time. Sir, you have 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Respectable Professor Dr. Khalid Saifullah, Dr. Jamal Khan, Dr. Farmanullah Khan, other faculty member of the Swabi University, students, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I am extremely thankful to the organizer of this seminar on this morning to view my share in this seminar on the role of biofertilizers in sustainable agriculture. I will try to present my view on the role of mycorrhizal fungi in growth and phosphorus uptake of Capsicum annum. As you know, mycorrhiza is a fungi which have a role in nutrient, especially phosphorus solubilization, and their availability to crops. Mycorrhiza is derived from a Latin word that is myco and rhiza. Myco means fungi and rhiza is the root. So mycorrhiza is the root fungi which make mutualistic associations with the roots of higher plants. Association may be of two types. First is ecomycorrhizal association, and the second one is endomycorrhizal or arbuscular mycorrhizal system. Ectomycorrhiza is mainly occur in roots of higher tree species, while endomycorrhiza is mainly involved in agriculture crops. Structure of mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza component include structure in roots and structure in soil. Structure in roots include hyphae, arbuscules, and vesicles. Our hyphae is maybe external hyphae or internal hyphae. External hyphae go beyond the root cortex, while internal hyphae remain within the cortex. These hyphae ramify within the root cortex or in the soil, make access to the unavailable, especially phosphorus and other nutrients like zinc and copper as well, and make them available. First solubilize them, and then these nutrients may be able to get taken up by the plants. The another component is arbuscules. Arbuscules is a bush-like structure found in the root cortex, and this structure mainly serves as exchange organ between the mycorrhiza and the plants in nutrient transfers. The next component is vesicles. Vesicle is the storage organ of mycorrhiza, which contain lipids and mainly store various type of nutrient essential, especially the phosphorus, zinc, and copper. Another type of structure is soil structure in soil. Structure in soil include soil hyphae and spores. Hyphae, especially the soil hyphae, explore area within the soil and make access to the phosphorus laying beyond the rhizosphere. It make contact with this phosphorus and solubilize the insoluble form of phosphorus and make them available for plant utilization. Spore is the productive organs. It attach with the hyphae and it serve as productive organ in mycorrhiza. The special mechanism of mycorrhiza is that mycorrhizal hyphae extend beyond the zone of P depletion, resulting in enhanced phosphorus uptake by mycorrhizal fungi. These hyphae explore more soil volume around the root, capable of absorbing and maintaining a phosphorus inflow and lower soil solution P concentration because of their small diameter, and thus increase the supply of slowly diffusing ions, especially phosphorus, zinc, and copper to the plants. From this figure, it is clearly mentioned the importance of mycorrhiza. And this mycorrhizal system in plant of coarse root system and soft root system. And the mycorrhizal infection is, as you see from the figure, is more important in coarser root system where there are no root hair, no other possible source for PP solubilization around the roots, because root hair are not there and the roots is also not explorable, especially in coarse root system. The mycorrhiza is the only source that mixes to the insoluble source of phosphorus, and this whitish zone around the root express the solubilized phosphorus content in the given area. This is the classification of mycorrhiza, somewhat older classification, although it has been modified. But commonly used, that order is Glomale, suborder Gigasporaceae, and the suborder Glomeni. Main species which occur in our area, Glomus mosi and Glomus intraridicis, is commonly found in our conditions. And it is worth to mention that more than 80% of the cereal and legumes crops have mycorrhizal systems. Significance of mycorrhiza in crop production. Mycorrhiza improve growth by increasing supply of insoluble phosphorus, zinc, and copper. The hyphae can utilize both inorganic and inorganic sources of nutrient. Mycorrhiza may solubilize and absorb phosphorus even from the very low concentration due to their small hyphae radius. AMF root colonization can provide protection from parasitic fungi. Mycorrhiza increase tolerance of drought, salts, heavy metals, and pathogens. It influences soil microbes population and exudates in rhizosphere. Mycorrhizal hyphae network contribute to improve soil structure. It may contribute to carbon storage in soil as well. Various factors, as I mentioned, that almost 80% of the crops are mycorrhizal, but there are certain factors which limit the development of mycorrhiza in system. These factors include inoculum, soil disturbance, and soil fertility status, which in most cases adversely, or in most cases they significantly contribute to the significance of mycorrhiza in the crop system. The objective of the experiment I have conducted, although the main objective is the utilization of the natural resources of soil for enhanced crop production. So out of these objectives, the specific objective is this experiment to investigate the mechanism, increase absorbing surface area, and chemical mobilization of action mechanism of AM fungi in shoot growth and phosphorus uptake by Capsicum annum. Methods and materials. Capsicum annum plants were grown in pots using sterilized soil with high fixing P deficient soil. Roots of weeds, Cromulena odorata, infected with AM fungi, species Glomus mosi, were inoculated before planting. Each treatment was replicated 8 times. Plants were harvested at 34th and 76th day after transplantation. Shoot growth, phosphorus soil solution concentration, and AMF structure were determined in the experiment. Soil solution, shoot peak concentration, root length, root infection intensity, mycorrhizal hyphae were determined according to the standard established procedures. Results and discussions. So this first figure show the effect of AMF inoculation on shoot dry weight and plant P uptake, and it is clearly mentioned that the inoculation of mycorrhiza improved shoot and plant phosphorus uptake significantly when compared to non-mycorrhizal plants. Here you see in first case phosphorus but no mycorrhiza. In second, no phosphorus and no mycorrhiza, first case. In second case, no phosphorus but mycorrhizal infection is there. While in third case, there are 10 milligram phosphorus but no mycorrhizal infection. In the last case, you see that 10 milligram phosphorus were applied along inoculated with AMF fungi, and the result is significant. Here are the plants growing in the greenhouse, clearly indicate the difference between the mycorrhizal and non-mycorrhizal plants. Here again, the application of 10 milligram phosphorus without and with mycorrhizal infection, and the difference is clear. Here is the root length as affected by the mycorrhiza inoculation. So again, here you see that with inoculation of mycorrhiza with small amount of phosphorus, even when 10 milligram phosphorus, growth improved the root length significantly as compared to the other treatments. Here is the phosphorus influx in soil, and phosphorus influx as indicated from the figure is clearly improved with the inoculation of mycorrhiza with the addition of phosphorus, although in small amount, but it has improved. Here are the difference between the two harvest 1 and the harvest 2, the phosphorus P-soil solution concentrations. And again, here it shows the difference between the soil solution concentration with different harvest stage. So these are the AM infection rate. So it clearly mentioned that with the inoculation of mycorrhiza, the root infection rate by mycorrhiza improved. These are some structure of mycorrhiza, as I mentioned in introduction. So these are the structure of arbuscules. These are the bush-like structure of arbuscules found within the root cortex. It acts as a transport organs. It is the zone of exchange organ. It acts as exchange between the plant roots and the mycorrhiza to exchange the nutrients. These are the vesicle within the root cortex, act as a storage organ for mycorrhiza. So this is the hyphal length noted with mycorrhiza and without mycorrhiza. So this is the hyphae per centimeter square root, again with mycorrhiza and without mycorrhiza. This is the hyphae, extraction of hyphae from soil. Hyphae we may find, as I mentioned earlier, that hyphae we may find in within the root cortex or within the soil. So this is the structure I have hyphae extracted from the soil. So it propagates in the soil, attach with the spores at the end of mycorrhiza. The spore act as a productive organ for mycorrhiza. And these hyphae ramify within the soil and make contact with the insoluble phosphorus within the soil. This is the root, this is external root hyphae structure. Go beyond the root cortex and propagate within the soil. Make excess within the soil, extract more volume of the soil and reach to the insoluble peak content of the soil. This is again the external hyphae, go beyond the root cortex. This is the hyphae structure within the root cortex. Within the root cortex, it ramify within the structures and act as propagating, produce spores for propagation of mycorrhizal infection. So conclusion. Inoculation with AMF at low P level has potential to improve shoot yield and plant P uptake by increasing P soil solution concentration and increasing the absorbing surface area due to high field growth. Future research in this area may be concentrated to develop techniques and mass production of AMF inoculum for large scale field applications. Thank you. That's us. So any question, please?
Mentions on the importance of the mycorrhiza. Sir, I'm sure it will go a long way in understanding the role of mycorrhiza to improve the phosphorus solubility. Our next speaker worked on the technology development of phosphate solubilizing microorganism. He is currently working on the testing of the PGPRs and PCB strains on the farmer's field with the Institute of Organic Farming, NARC, Islamabad. Furthermore, he also worked as a collaborating scientist in the residue management studies in the rice wheat system for improving soil physical and biological properties. Please welcome Dr. Tariq Sultan. Okay. He is busy in other activities. On behalf of Dr. Tariq Sultan, please welcome Dr. Yusuf Tabassum.
Other activities, I'm Tosif, Dr. Tosif from NARC. So the topic of my presentation is bioorganic fertilizer for sustainable agriculture. As we know, plants make their food through the process of photosynthesis, which is the utilization of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce sugar molecules and the oxygens. Here is the process where the leaf is the food factories, where all the process of photosynthesis is taking place through sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water is carried through the roots, and all the minerals are present in the soil. As we know, soil is the region where all the macro and micro essential and other secondary and elements, nutrients are taken from through the roots, and leaf is the prime region where photosynthesis of that plant is taking place. Here we can see that all the minerals or nutrients are taken from the soils through the decomposition of the organic matter or from the rocky subsoils. Now the issues related to soil fertility and soil health, which are the poor soil fertility status, low organic matter less than 1%, high pH, P fixation due to high amount of calcium carbonate in the soils, salt affected soils, and imbalanced use of fertilizers is another problem, and low fertilizer use efficiency, which is due to some factors like salt affected soils and P fixations and other problems. Then the high cropping intensity and of exhausted crops and burning of the crop is another problem, and high use of agrochemicals, which badly affects beneficial microflora and ultimately affect the soil health. Fast decomposition and removal of carbon from the soil due to high temperature, and another is the limited availability and use of organic and biofertilizer due to lack of awareness and the importance of bioorganic fertilizers. Use of low value organic manures and lack of awareness about value added bioorganic fertilizers like biofertilizer, compost and vermicompost is another problem. So, to make agriculture a viable part of sustainable healthy ecosystem, bioorganic fertilizer is the solutions. Types of fertilizer. Chemical fertilizer contains urea, DAP, SOPs, etc. and organic fertilizers are manures, compost, vermicompost like, and the biofertilizers are many times like nitrogen fixers, phytohormone producing bacteria and other PSPs and nutrient mobilizers are the source of biofertilizers. So the biofertilizer, concept of biofertilizer. What is biofertilizer? Biofertilizers, we can say it's any kind of preparation which contains living or latent cells of the beneficial bacteria. When these bacteria are added to the or coated on the surface of the seeds, roots or on the soils, increase the or enhance the fertility status and growth of the plant through many processes like nitrogen fixation, phytohormone productions, phosphorus solubilizing and mobilizations of the other nutrients. Why biofertilizers are important? Because natural population of soil microbes decrease due to harsh climatic conditions like extreme temperature, extreme moistures, like, too wet or too dry, unavailability of organic matter, and other, and the soil can be replenishment can be done by the microbial population through inoculation, and for this purpose, efficient strains and different good strains can be inoculated in the soil. Type of biofertilizers are nitrogen fixers, phosphorus solubilizers, and siderophores biofertilizers, producing biofertilizers and biofertilizers for plant growth, promoting bacteria. And compost can be enriched with others fungal and bacterial culture to produce a good source for the fertilizer. Advantages are that N biofertilizer can provide around 20 to 30% of chemical fertilizer equivalent N. It also provides phosphorus, which is 12 to 20 kg P2O5 per hectare per season, and like the mycorrhizae, which already Dr. Sharif has explained all the process. These are microbes are involved in different mechanisms. So this is the nitrogen fixation in the legumes, where bacteria infect the root here and form a thread, and then a nodule is formed which get all the carbon source energy from the plant, and alternately it provide nitrogen from the air to the plant. This is some direct and indirect mechanisms of the PGPRs. And these PGPRs or microbes can be pathogens, but identification of the bacteria is important to judge what kind of bacteria is that. Biozort is the biofertilizer which is produced in the NARC.
Bioorganic fertilizers. I'm sure it will open new prospects for the future researchers. Now moving forward to our next speaker. He has a broad experience on rearing of earthworm and development of different organic products from them for the soil health and crop productivity. He is currently working as an Assistant Director, Agriculture Extension, Hazro. Please welcome Dr. Muhammad Javed.
Respectable Professor Dr. Khalid Saifullah Khan, Dr. Farman Saab, and other professors and the students. Today, the topic which I have selected to represent here is what are the challenges for the vermicomposting in Pakistan, and what are the opportunities in the Pakistan for this product. First of all, I want to explain what is the vermicomposting and vermiculture. It is a new thing in Pakistan, no doubt. In America, in advanced world, a lot of research work has been done, and from that research work, industry has established, and many corporations, many companies have started this work, and now they are working on broad level. But in Pakistan, a little work have been done here in Pakistan, but there is a lot of potential in Pakistan. First of all, what is vermicomposting? Vermicomposting is the process where the organic substrate pass from the guts of the earthworms and a black material received, which is known as a black gold, which has the properties of nutrient availabilities as well the diverse microbial activities. And diversity of the microbial properties in that organic material is very valuable. If we compare this vermicompost with the composting, the composting is the process where thermophilic processes are involved, and in that thermophilic processes, our microbial diversity finished, and very little diversity is received, and like PGBR microbes, PGR producer microbes, nitrogen fixers, and P solubilizers. Most of the microbes finish or damage in that high temperature regime, that is 70 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, in the vermicomposting, which is a aerobic composting, where the organic substrates pass from the guts of the earthworms and we receive the black gold. And this process of conversion takes place in the temperature range of 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. And this is very conducive temperature, very conducive conditions for maintaining the diversity of the microbes. There are production of PGPRs, production of PGRs, and P solubilizers, and others like microbes. It means this is a natural industry. This is a natural nature gift for the production of organic gold, black gold. If we see in the perspective of Pakistan, how we can explore this into the research sector as well in the development sector. If we say in the view of the research conducted in Pakistan, sorry to say that whatever organizations are working here in Pakistan, the material first time I collected from the UK for my experiment PhD research in the University of Arid Agriculture University under the supervision of Dr. Khalid Saifullah Khan, and I conducted my research over there, and that material we multiplied in the different forms, and now a lot of material is available, and the same material we provided to the NARC for conducting the research. But unluckily, what is the need? The need for sustainability is to explore these species in our environment, that where these species are found. If otherwise, the material which we import from the other countries, that would not be sustainable. So we have to explore the species which are available naturally in Pakistani conditions, so that we have to tap the potential of that. So in this way, the species which are involved in vermicomposting are Acina fetida, Acina indrai, Dendrobiana veneta, Pyreunex excavatus, Eudilus eugenii species. And these have been identified by Edwards et al. 1985. And these are the species which work on the surface of the earth. And they consume the organic matter and convert it into vermicompost. There are other earthworms. There are 21,000 species of earthworms, that is, other than this epigeaic, that is anisic and epigeaic. The anisic, that two categories work beneath the soil up to 2 feet, up to 3 feet, and their food is calcareous soil, which they convert into the useful soil. So this is the first thing that we have to explore, this thing in Pakistani conditions where these earthworms are found naturally. Second challenge in Pakistan is the extreme temperatures in summer and winter, because earthworms works efficiently for conversion of organic waste as well reproduce at temperature range 20 to 30 degrees centigrade. And this has been explored by Dominguez and Edward 2011. And third challenge in Pakistan is that if we explore these two steps and we come on the adoption stage, adoption of technology by the stakeholders like farmers and industry, that is the very third step for this purpose, and definitely there is a need, there would be need to make a programs for adoption and diffusion of that technology in farmers field and by the industry. And fourth is the limited research priority for exploration and verification of the research findings nationally for the research conducted internationally. And what are the opportunities for the vermicomposting in Pakistan? Diverse ecological zones most favorable for process in mild summer like northern areas of Pakistan from Kashmir to Gilgit-Baltistan, NMDs, North Waziristan, South Waziristan, Kuram, Memon, Khyber and Bajor, and from plains of Punjab to Sindh in winter. Second one is in Pakistan, livestock excreta production is 335 million tons annually. 50% remains uncollected, 25% burnt away, and 25%, 83 million ton is available for soil application. And this is the reference of my own PhD dissertation. And third is price hikes fertilizers necessitates to be used in an integrated way with specialized organic amendments like vermicompost with its value addition with specialized microbes like P-solubilizing, N-fixing, PGR producer, etc. And fourth one is value-added products of vermicompost like teas, vermiwash to be used in high-value horticultural crops. And last is the export potential for organic agriculture inputs and products. And then the development of cottage industry, this is one of the opportunity, development of the cottage industry, thereby employment opportunities, new opportunities in the field of pharmaceuticals, Mariappan et al. 2011, there are a lot of pharmaceutical products which are going to be produced with the earthworms, which are very useful. And then the mitigation of heavy metals which are found in the soil, and the earthworms are the volunteers which are mitigating the soil regarding the availability of heavy metals. And the last one slide, that how the advanced world developed their industries on the basis of vermicomposting, and how many organic wastes which are producing is going to be made valuable and for improving our soil fertility and our food security. In USA, there are 4 companies which are working on vermicomposting and vermiculture. That is Oregon Soil Corporation, RT Solutions LLC, New Horizon Organics, and Sansai International Incorporation. In Canada, Fortera Environmental Corporation, United Kingdom, ORM Waste Management, and in Russia, Green Peak Eco Products Corporation, Hong Kong.
Scientific thoughts and highlighting the ground realities. May I now introduce our last but certainly not the least speaker of the day, Dr. Muhammad Adnan, Lecturer, Department of Agriculture, University of Swabi. Dr. Adnan is currently working on soil microbiology and plant nutrition, including fertilizer use efficiency, sustainable nutrient management through organic manure and biofertilizer. Please welcome Dr. Muhammad Adnan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Thank you very much for providing me the opportunity. It's very difficult for me to say something in front of my teachers, but with their permission I would like to thank you, sir. With their permission I would like to explore the role of bioorganic fertilizer in ecological alternative to expensive chemical fertilizers for sustainable agriculture. As we know that global population is increasing day by day, and it is expected that it will reach up to 10 billion by 2050. And to feed the overgrowing population, we would need almost 50% more food than present. While on other hand, if we look at the status of our cultivable land, so the cultivable land is degrading day by day due to various factors, due to urbanization, salinization, waterlogging, industrialization, flooding, and so many other hazards. And it is expected that every year almost 2 billion hectares has been degraded, and it's go out of the cultivable land. So to feed the overgrowing population, we need to get more food from limited resources. So that's why the new concept has been arised that vertical agriculture and vertical improvement, we have to get minimum food from less, maximum food from less area. And for that, the green revolution and then high yielding varieties were introduced. So if we look at the fact before 1970, when there was no high yielding varieties, the conventional system and the organic sources were sufficient to fulfill the nutritional requirements of those conventional cultivars. But by the introduction of these high yielding varieties, now our soils don't have sufficient nutrients to fulfill the nutritional requirements of the high yielding cultivars. So that's why the fertilizers were introduced. The nutritional supplements were introduced into the system. And if we look at this figure, the use of the chemical fertilizer has increased from 46 million tons to 191 million tons in the last 50 to 55 years. And if we look at from 2000 to 2019, so there is almost 40 to 45% increase in the use of the chemical fertilizers. Now these chemical fertilizers are basically, any organic or inorganic material which are either of synthetic or natural origin being added to the soil for supplementation of one or more essential nutrients. So basically, there are two broad categories of fertilizer. One is natural, another one is synthetic. Among the natural, we have inorganic like gypsum, rock phosphate, and limestone, which is used for the acidic soil. But if we look at the organic fertilizer, so among those two, we have natural, like manures are natural, and the compost and other stuffs are preferred. So these are the fertilizers, organic fertilizers. If we look at the synthetic or chemical fertilizers which are made in the industry, so there is a long list. I am not going to explain that. This is a World Bank 2013 reports which shows the per hectare use of the chemical fertilizers in the Southeast Asian countries. So if we look at Pakistan, so currently it might be more currently, but in 2013 we were using 163 kg per hectare mineral fertilizers. This is also the report published by Economic Survey of Pakistan, and it shows the use of the fertilizers, the trend of the chemical fertilizer used in the Pakistan from 1950. If we look at the graph, so the use of the chemical fertilizers are increasing with the passage of time. Basically, these chemical fertilizers are applied to supplement nutrients in order to fulfill the nutritional requirements. But the problem, they also create certain problems. And those problems basically occur due to their unjudicious application. When we either apply them more or less, so then they create certain problems, and those problems include depletion of soil organic matter, depletion of biodiversity, as well as they affect the microbial population and microbial activity in the soil. They may alter the pH of the soil. They may induce salinity. So these are the problems associated with the chemical fertilizer. Beside creating the problems by altering the soil property, they also promote some environmental hazards. I will be presenting some of those. So the first one is eutrophication. This is basically due to the excess content of the phosphorus and nitrogen in the water sources. It promotes the algal bloom. So the surface is covered by the algae, and then the penetration of air and sunlight is disturbed, and after that no circulation of air occurs. So as a result of that, what happens? As a result of that, biological oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand increases. So it adversely affects the aquatic life. If we look at the contribution of agriculture and the greenhouse gases emission, so it is almost 26%. Before it was not that much. It has been increased due to the introduction of these high yielding varieties, mechanized agriculture, and overusage of the chemical fertilizers. They also contain, up to some extent, they also contain heavy metals. And you know that heavy metals are non-biodegradable and they biomagnify with the food chain. And you might have seen that nowadays, when we compare the old people with the present generations, we might say that nan sabani khalaq plastic ki ka na. The other problem associated with the chemical fertilizer is their low use efficiency. You know that they are very costly nowadays. We can see the current hike of surge or increase in the prices. DAP, look at the price of DAP. There is a shortage of urea. So these are expensive. When we add it, so more than 50% or 50 to 70% of the nitrogenous fertilizers cannot be efficiently used, and they goes out of the soil plant system, and they, instead of their beneficial effect, they create environmental hazards and they pollute our soil. Similarly, our soils are calcareous in nature and we have more calcium carbonate, so whatever the phosphorus fertilizers we are applying, they make insoluble complexes with the calcium and magnesium, and their efficiency, almost more than 80% of that is precipitated and cannot be used by the plant, and so on. So this is basically, in this slide, I have shown that how these nutrients are, particularly nitrogen, is lost from the soil plant system or from the root zone. So it either lost as a volatilization or as a runoff. So as a runoff, they may promote eutrophication. As a leaching, they may create blue baby disease, which is called methemoglobina. And sometime the denitrification may occur. So as a result, nitrous oxide is emitted. So when nitrous oxide is emitted, so it is a potent or more potential greenhouse gas, and it is 298 times more efficient than carbon dioxide in terms of heat trapping capacity. So what we can do? On one side, we need to feed the overgrowing population. On other side, we have to take care of our future resources and we have to protect our environment. So the potential alternative could be the organic fertilizers. And those includes farmyard manure, green manure, vermicompost, and biofertilizers. So it has already been explained that what is farmyard manure, what is vermicompost, and what is green manure. But I will be emphasizing on that how they are more beneficial than mineral fertilizers. The mineral fertilizer have only one advantage, that is that they only provide essential nutrient. And they have more hazards. While the organic fertilizers, they not only improve the chemical fertility of the soil, but they also improve the biological and physical fertility as well. On one hand, they supply the nutrients, but on other hand, they improve the physical properties of the soil like aeration, porosity, water holding capacity, infiltration rate, drainage, percolation rate, and as well as they also improve the biological properties of the soil. They improve microbial diversity, microbial activity, and so many other. So that's why we can use biofertilizer as alternative to chemical fertilizer, but there is a big if. This is one of my student study published in Journal of Plant Nutrition during 2018. Here we compared different types of organic fertilizers with urea. And we explore its role that either we can use it or either we can substitute urea by organic fertilizers or organic amendments or not. So if you look at when we applied 100% urea, 25% each from press mud, PM and seed cake along with urea, so it produced 8 par results to 150 kg urea per hectare. So it signifies that we can use it as an alternative up to some extent. It is my another study published in 3 Biotech during 2019. So here I tried to explore the effect of PM, poultry manure, and nullifying the adverse effect of lime on phosphorus availability. So we can see that at each lime level, including control, the PM is effective in nullifying the adverse effect of lime over P availability. I told that we can use it, but there is a big if, and the if is, the problem with the chemical fertilizer is their low nutritional value. The nutritional content in the organic manure is not that much as chemical fertilizers. If we look at urea, so urea contains 46% nitrogen. If we look at DAP, so that contains 46% phosphorus. But on other hand, if we look at to the nutritional composition of these organic amendments or organic fertilizers, so almost 1%, 2%. So they are bulky. The problem with organic manures are they are bulky, they have no nutrients content, as well as the release of nutrients from these fertilizers. These nutrients are not readily available to the plants. These are in organic form. So these must be mineralized by microbes, and then it will come to the soil solution, and then it can be taken up by the plant. So it is a time consuming process, and we need abrupt or speedy output. So that's why they are long lasting, but their effect is slow. So to overcome this problem, we can use biofertilizer as a remedy. As already mentioned by Tawseeb Saab, that these are inoculant based, they contain different types of beneficial microbes. So these organic fertilizers also promote the nutritional availability as well as plant growth in ecological manner without disturbing, because they are natural. So they do not harm our environment, and they promote organic matter mineralization, decomposition, as well as they produce some sorts of plant growth promoting substances. They also induce salt tolerance. Some cases drought tolerance has also been cited in literature, that they also induce drought tolerance. So these biofertilizers, if these biofertilizers are coupled with organic fertilizers, so their cumulative effect may be more than their individual effect. If we apply biofertilizer to our soil, so our soils are deficient in organic matter and we have less than 1% organic matter, so the food for microbes are organic matter. So if they don't have the sufficient food, so how they will perform? So that's why whenever we integratedly apply biofertilizers with organic manure, so their effect will be more significant in their individual. Biofertilizers are mainly classified into three categories already explained by Tawseeb Saab. I will be specifically emphasizing on nitrogen fixation. This is the second most abundant natural process after photosynthesis in the universe. Whatever the second slide I showed, currently we are using 120 million tons of synthetic fertilizers. And that is costing billions of dollars in terms of nitrogen. But this fixation, natural fixation by microbes, they fix 175 million tons of nitrogen pre-upcast each year. More than what we apply as a mineral fertilizers. So this is a very much significant process. So the fixation is majorly of two types. One is non-biological, which is usually done by lightning or during industry. By Haber-Bosch process, we make urea, so we use atmospheric nitrogen and combine it with natural gas, and then urea is formed. So if we look at nitrogen is the most abundant in the environment, almost 78%. But the most deficient in the soil, the most deficient, it is 78% in the atmosphere and up to 0.5% in the soil. Why? Because whatever the nitrogen is being taken up by the plant, that is either in ammonium or amide form, while in atmosphere it is present in an N2 form. So if by certain means we can convert it from N2 to ammonium or amide, so it can be of use for the plants, and that this is done by the what we call rhizobia and other non-symbiotic microbes. So rhizobium, basically this is what we call symbiosis. So they live in the nodules of the legumes and they fix the atmospheric nitrogen, provide the nitrogen to the plant, and in response plant is providing the carbohydrates to the rhizobia. And these are different species of rhizobias which are categorized. They are host specific, so there are different groups which can be used for certain crops. This is some crops and their N-fixing ability. So if we look at pigeon pea alfalfa, so they are almost fixing 200 kgs nitrogen per hectare and so on. Another group in the non-symbiotic is Azotobacter. Unlike rhizobia, they also can fix, but they do not live in the root nodules and they are non-symbiotic. They are free-living. Similarly, Azospirillum is also a non-symbiotic, but they are associative. They live in the roots. And another nitrogen fixer is blue-green algae, so they also can fix nitrogen. And this table signified their role that rhizobia can fix 50 to 100 kg of nitrogen per hectare, and they can increase yield from 10 to 35%. And they can be used for pulses, oilseed legumes, fodder legumes, and forest legumes. Azotobacter can fix 20 to 25 kg nitrogen per hectare and can increase the yield of the crop from 10 to 15%. They also produced growth promoting substances as well in addition to nitrogen fixation, and they can be used for different crops like wheat, maize, cotton, sorghum, and so on. The blue-green algae and then azolla can also be used as a nitrogen fixer. This is one of our study published in Canadian Journal of Soil Sciences in 2016. So here we have compared the role of different rhizobium species in phosphorus mineralization. So
it was a very elaborative and informative presentation. In order to seek views on today's seminar, I would like to invite the distinguished soil scientist, Professor Jamal Khattak, to come to the stage and express his valuable views. Sir, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Just a couple of moments ago, Dr. Fazli Wahid told me that I have to say something about it. तो तब से मेरे टांगे जो है वो कांप रही है. I will not use. Because in presence of such a learned speaker, they have covered almost all the area that was just given in the topic of this today presentation. Earlier, the Vice Chancellor of Women University, she was saying that the topic is not new, it is an old technology. But if you look into the current prices of the fertilizers, even fertilizer were not available. So the future rests now in these organic fertilizer. We have to use these organic fertilizer. Other than this Bio Fertilizer, this morning I learned from the learned Dean, Dr. Mukhtar Sahab, and he was saying that the sustainability of the agriculture now is at risk, not because of these fertilizer, the biofertilizer or the inorganic fertilizer, but it is the endangered species by itself. Soil will be one of the limiting factor in future for the sustainability of the agriculture, because Adnan Saab was saying that in 2050 the population will be about 10 billion, 9.87 billion. And our agriculture land is very rapidly, converting into urbanization, coming. Any problem of the soil, be that salinity, erosion, low soil fertility, there is a curative measure for it. They can be corrected. अगर soil की fertility कम है तो we can fertilizer हम इस्तेमाल करके that organic or inorganic. But once the soil come under the building or under the road is gone forever. उसके लिए हमारे पास कोई strategy नहीं है. तो आज के presenter में in the last couple of slides, Dr. Adnan was saying something about the night soil, that it is one of the richest source of the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Adnan, you did not explain what is night soil. I don't think so if the night soil exists anymore now, because all the people, be that living in the small houses or in bigger houses, they have toilets, so we do not have any more these night soil. In the last अब ये इन्होंने तो बार they were coming और चिट आपको दे रहे थे कि cut it short your presentation, तो मुझे तो खुद रिक्वेस्ट की कि मैं बोलूँ, तो जिगर ताम के बेटो कि अगर मैं 1 घंटा बोलूँ तो आप काफ़ी आप बोर हो चुके होंगे. All the presenter, I congratulate them. They were well prepared, और वो बिल्कुल exactly they stick to the topics. The topic was very interesting. I can congratulate all the presenters that you were very well prepared and you presented very nicely. So thank you very much for inviting me for the today one-day workshop. I congratulate the organizer. They did a wonderful job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now for the distribution of shields and certificates among the keynote speakers of today's seminar, I would like to invite Dean Faculty of Sciences, Professor Mukhtar Alam Saab, to please come to the stage. I would also request Professor Farmanullah Khan Saab to assist Dean Faculty of Sciences. Thank you, sir. Our next keynote speaker is Professor Dr. Muhammad Sharif. Sir, please come to the stage. Thank you, sir. Now the next speaker was Dr. Tosif Tabassum. Please, sir, come to the stage. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, Farman. Thank you. Now I will request Professor Jamal Khattak Saab, please, to come to the stage and distribute the shields among the remaining speakers. Okay. Now I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Javed, our keynote speaker. Please, sir, come to the stage. Sir, please. Sir, please come to the stage. Thank you. Now the next is Dr. Fazle Wahid, who is the focal person of today's seminar. Please, sir, receive your shield. Next is Dr. Muhammad Adnan, who is coordinator of today's seminar. Thank you, sir. Next is Next is Dr. Rafiullah. He is also the coordinator. Now I will request Professor Jamal Saab to present the shield to the Dean Faculty of Sciences, who is the chief organizer of today's event. Thank you, Sir Jamal. Dean Faculty of Sciences should stay here. Yes, yes. Okay, now among the participants, I would like to invite Dr. Hamida to please come to the stage and receive her certificate of participation. Dr. Manzoor, please come to the stage. Yes. Dr. Ishaq, Dr. Shafahat, Dr. Muhammad Saeed. Sir, please come to the stage. He was among the organizers of today's seminar. Dr. Ibadullah Jan. Dr. Muhammad Haroon. Dr. Hidayatullah. Dr. Abdul Basir. Dr. Yusuf Jamal. And next is Dr. Farhana Gul. Yes, it's me. Next is Dr. Ziauddin. Mr. Zishan Khan. Dr. Muhammad Zameen. Mr. Ziaur Rahman. Dr. Munir Rahman. Mr. Junaid. Mr. Zulfikar, selfie wale zana. Dr. Shahid.
Not the teacher one, the researcher Parman, who is participating.
Mr. Farman.
Okay. We have also Dr. Farman from Soil Conservation Department. He has also joined us and he is a participant in this seminar. So please welcome and receive your certificate.
Now students who are the organizers of today's event, they should come one by one to the stage. Okay, sorry, I forgot one of the faculty member who was also a part of organizing today's seminar. I welcome Dr. Shahab to please come to the stage and receive certificate.